Welcome to this section where we will be talking about data mining in business analytics, which is also called as knowledge discovery in databases, which is a process of non-trivial extraction of implicit, previously unknown and potentially useful information from data in databases. So, we are talking about data which is implicit, which is not easy to extract, but which is meaningful and creates value when extracted and used for data analysis and the results. Now, what is the importance of data mining in business analytics? It sifts through all the chaotic and repetitive noise in your data, understand what is relevant and then make good use of that information to assess likely outcomes, accelerate the pace of making informed decisions, finding anomalies, patterns and correlations within large data sets to predict outcomes. When we talk about data mining, it is all about what are your objectives, what are your goals, what do you want to address, which problem do you want to solve. And there when you are going into the process of data mining, you will come across many sets of data which are not used, which are not required, but you will have to find the data which is useful to you. And again, when you are talking about data, there are different levels of data, how much of that is useful, to what level have you go through, to what year, there is a historic record do you want to extract the data from. So, those questions are here to be answered, and then you can go through the next set of process, that is understand what is relevant and make good use of that information to assess likely outcomes. Once you have got the required data, you will have to use the data analysis process and then get the results and then take your decisions. That is, accelerate the pace of making informed decisions. And finally, you can use anomalies, create patterns, clusters, correlations, regression, create dependent, independent variables, understand the procedure, hence it goes on. Now, categories of data mining, that is supervised learning and unsupervised learning, we will be looking into these in the coming slides. Data mining usually done for mining for frequent patterns, mining for associations, mining for correlations, mining for clusters, mining for predictive analysis. Now, when we talk about frequent patterns, is we are looking at something which is very regular. So, maybe in the winter season, the sales of jackets goes up, that is a frequent pattern in winter. Something which goes on throughout the year, does ice cream sell throughout the year? Maybe not in winters, maybe yes in summers, yes. So, we are looking out to get meaningful data from the frequent patterns, and once you have identified those patterns, what needs addressing, you go to the next level, mining for associations, that is how is it related to one another. And then the next level, mining for correlations, is there a relation between one data and the other, and if there is a relation, how much is the weightage of that relation. The next level, mining for clusters, if there is a relation between a data, you can bring up clusters in the clustering analysis. We have spoken about clustering in the previous slide. So, that is the clustering process. You can create clusters for each relatable factors. You can put it up as one package and you can call it as a cluster. And the final one is mining for predictive analysis. Now, when we talk about predictive analysis, is you are using that sets of data what you have created as clusters to run a predictive analysis. You can use the different sets and tools of predictive analysis to come up with a result, we come up with an objective what you are looking out for. Now, here are some common applications for data mining. Now, let us delve into the questions over here and see what is the application and then what is being predicted. The business question, how to better target product or service offers, and what are your application, what are you doing under business analytics, you are profiling and you are doing segmentation. And finally, what are you predicting, that is customer behaviors and needs by segment. Now, that segment can be any segmentation, by age, by gender, by class, by different societal classes, whatever you can take up on. And then the next business question is which product or service to recommend, cross sell and upsell, that is probable customer purchases. Now, cross sell and upsell are different applications of business analytics, which explains how products or services are sold between different categories. And then the next part is how to grow and maintain valuable customers, that is how can you grow your market share. You are using a strategy which is acquisition and retention. So, you are acquiring a market share and you are retaining them. Now, these strategies are different, how to acquire and then how to retain them. You are retaining them by giving them loyalty discounts, by giving them offers, and then customer preferences. What are you predicting over here? Customer preferences and purchase patterns. The next one is how to direct the right offer to the right person at the right time. Yes, you run a campaign, that is a campaign management, and what you are predicting is the success of customer communications. So, that is, has your word or your offer being translated or being given to the customer at the right point of time? Is he being informed about your offer or your product or your service, whatever you are offering? And the final one is which customers to invest in and how to best appeal to them. So, you are using the techniques of profitability and lifetime value, and then what you are predicting is drivers of future value, that is margin and retention. Going to the next one, there are again different sets of business questions which needs addresses, that is how to assess and control risk within existing or new consumer portfolios. So, you are trying to understand which projects to go into and which not when you are talking about risk. And the application what you are using is credit scoring, which is again in the banking industry, credit worthiness of new and existing sets of customers. Yes. So, if you are trying to give an expensive product to a customer, obviously that customer's credit worthiness has to be assessed before giving it, so that he is reliable, that he can pay for that product or service whatever he is buying, he or she is buying. How to increase sales and cross sell up or upsell loyalty programs and promotions. It is through recommendation systems which are done through the online platforms, and what you are predicting over here is products that are likely to be purchased. Next, then comes to the how to minimize the operational disruptions and maintenance cost. Your techniques what you are using are asset maintenance, and you are predicting the real drivers of asset or equipment failure. And the next set of questions are done in a similar way, that is how to decrease fraud losses and lower false positives. Is you are embedding fraud management systems within your existing infrastructure, and what you are predicting is unknown fraud cases which can come up and future risks. Finally, how to bring drugs to marketplace quickly and effectively. So, what you are doing over here, you are running an application which is drug discovery, which is from the domain of life sciences, and you are predicting compounds that have desirable effects. Now, we are talking about how data mining can help to discover associations, that is example linking purchase of pizza with beer. Now, here is a consumer behavior pattern. What can be learned is, does customers whenever they buy pizza, do they buy a beer along with it? Do they buy a cold drink along with it? That is associations. Once you have identified an association, you can go up to the next one, that is sequences, example tying events together, marriage and purchase of furniture. So, once you know that, customers will always try to buy it as a bundle. Yeah. Moving on to the next one, classifications, example recognizing patterns such as the attributes of employees that are most likely to quit. You can classify employees into the trusted ones. I am not saying there are untrusted employees, but the ones who can be thought as a bit shaky, and then they cannot be relied on. So you can predict those feelings as well. Forecasting is example predicting buying habits of customers based on past patterns. Now with this forecasting technique, you can obviously predict more than what is given over here with regards to buying habits. You can predict your favorite products or service price hikes, or maybe discounts coming up. Now what does data mining do? It explores your data, it finds patterns, and it performs predictions. When you are talking about exploring the data, it is the actual process of data mining, where you are going through different sets of data, and the data what is required by you as per your addressing to the problem, what kind of problem you are dealing with. So you have to limit your search to that amount of data. You are trying to find patterns. Once you have standardized the data, whatever is required by you, you are going to find patterns. Does it have any meaningful? And yes, there will be interpretations which can bring out solutions to your problems. You will have to, the talent is in observing the patterns, and then finally perform predictions. Once you have got the required patterns, you can perform predictions and take your decisions based on that. Now here we have two sets of classification, that is, what does data mining do? It has different approaches: exploratory data analysis, descriptive modeling, deviation detection, predictive modeling, and discovering patterns and rules. So we have the final part, which talks about classification, regression, association, dependency rules, sequential patterns, temporal sequences. We will be looking into all of these in the upcoming slides. Finally, coming down to the data mining applications, marketing analysis and management goes to risk analysis and management, and finally moving to fraud detection and management. We start off from the very general organization function, that is market analysis and management, moving to risk analysis and management, finally coming down to the fraud detection and management. Obviously, once you move on to the general specifications of any business, you come down to a level where you need to identify the loopholes as well. Yes, and that loophole identification process is the fraud detection and management, which is very much required in any business to survive or sustain. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed this session.